The station was on high alert. Commander Holt had evacuated the residential areas and moved civilians to the secure inner sectors. Guards patrolled every corridor. Scanners worked overtime trying to detect cloaked intruders. None of it would be enough. Danny stood in the command center, watching the monitors. The 3 new Vendari assassins had boarded the station 4 hours ago through a maintenance airlock. They were somewhere in the lower levels, moving slowly toward the diplomatic wing where Ambassador Thalros and Xylith were hidden. Scareth was with them. Even wounded, he was still dangerous. Maybe more dangerous now because Danny had humiliated him. A Vendari's pride was everything. Scareth would want revenge. "We cannot hold them forever," Commander Holt said. She stood beside Danny, arms crossed, face grim. "Our security teams are good, but they are not trained to fight Vendari. If those assassins reach the diplomatic wing, it is over." "They will not reach it," Danny said. "How can you be sure?" Danny turned to face her. "Because I am going to stop them." Commander Holt started to argue, but Danny raised his hand. "I know what you are going to say. I am a child. I am a civilian. I have no business fighting assassins." He paused. "But I am also the only one who can sense them. The only one who can match their speed. You need me, Commander. You know you do." She was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "What do you need?" "I need you to pull your guards back from Corridor 7. That is the main route to the diplomatic wing. The assassins will use it because it has the most cover. Let them think it is undefended. You want to use yourself as bait?" "I want to choose the battlefield," Danny said. "Corridor 7 has a choke point near the junction with Sector 8. If I hold them there, they cannot get around me. They will have to go through me." Commander Holt studied him with new respect. "That is actually a good tactical plan. I paid attention in history class," Danny said with a small smile. "The Battle of Thermopylae. A small force can hold a narrow pass against a larger army. In that battle, the defenders died." "I know," Danny said. "But they bought time. They saved their people." He looked toward the diplomatic wing. "That is what I am going to do." He found Xylith before he left. She was in her father's quarters, surrounded by guards, but she ran to him the moment he entered. "Danny, please do not do this," she begged. "There must be another way." "There is not," Danny said gently. "They will keep coming, Xylith. No matter how many guards, no matter how many walls. Vendari do not stop until the job is done or they are dead. Then let the security teams handle it. They cannot see the assassins." "I can." Danny took her hands in his. "I am not doing this because I want to die. I am doing this because I want you to live. You are my friend. The first real friend I have had since coming to this station. I will not let anyone hurt you." Xylith's eyes filled with tears. "What if you do not come back?" Danny smiled. "Then remember me. Remember that a human boy from Earth thought you were worth protecting." He turned and walked away before she could say anything else. If he stayed any longer, he might lose his courage. The corridors were empty as Danny made his way to Sector 7. Commander Holt had kept her word. The guards were gone, the lights were dimmed, and the path to the diplomatic wing was wide open. Danny took his position at the choke point. It was a narrow stretch of corridor with solid walls on both sides. No flanking routes, no hiding spots, no escape. Anyone who wanted to pass had to go through him. He waited. He did not have to wait long. He felt them coming like cold wind before a storm. 4 shadows moving through the darkness. Scareth was in the lead, his presence sharp with hatred. The other 3 were calmer, professional, focused on the mission. They rounded the corner and stopped when they saw Danny, standing alone in the corridor. Scareth hissed with surprise. I did not think you would be foolish enough to face us again." "You were wrong," Danny said. The lead assassin, a larger Vendari with scars across his face, stepped forward. "This is the human who wounded you? He's just a child." "He is more than that," Scareth said. "Be careful." The scarred Vendari laughed. "I am not afraid of a human child. Move aside, boy. Our business is with the ambassador, not with you." "Your business is with me now," Danny said. "If you want to reach Xylith, you have to go through me." "So be it." The four assassins attacked at once. Danny had trained his body for years, but nothing had prepared him for this. Four of the deadliest killers in the galaxy came at him in a blur of claws and fangs and tails. The corridor became a storm of violence. Danny moved on pure instinct. His enhanced senses screamed warnings a split second before each attack. He dodged, blocked, countered. He fought like his life depended on it because it did. He took down the first assassin with a knee to the chest and a palm strike to the throat. The Vendari collapsed, gasping for air. The second one bit him on the arm. The venom burned, but Danny's body absorbed it. He felt himself getting stronger, faster. The toxin that should have killed him became fuel instead. He grabbed the second assassin and threw him into the wall hard enough to crack the metal panels. The Vendari did not get up. The scarred leader came at him with fury. They exchanged blows in a brutal dance, neither giving ground. Danny took hits that would have killed a normal human. He kept fighting anyway. He found an opening and drove his fist into the leader's jaw. The assassin stumbled back, and Danny followed with a kick that sent him crashing to the floor. Only Scareth was left. The assassin who had started it all stood at the end of the corridor, watching Danny with something like wonder in his yellow eyes. "What are you?" Scareth asked. It was the same question he had asked before, but now there was no mockery in his voice. "Only fear. I am human," Danny said. "That is all I have ever been. That is all I need to be." Scareth attacked with everything he had. He was faster than before, more desperate. His claws found Danny's chest and left deep gashes. His tail swept Danny's legs out from under him. Danny hit the ground hard. Scareth was on top of him in an instant, fangs aimed at his throat. "Die!" Scareth hissed. Danny caught the assassin's head in both hands. "You first." He twisted. There was a crack. Scareth went limp. Danny pushed the body off and lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling. His whole body was on fire with pain. Blood pooled beneath him. He was not sure he could stand, but he had won. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Commander Holt and her team arrived, followed by Xylith and Ambassador Thalros. Xylith screamed when she saw Danny covered in blood. "Get the medics!" Commander Holt shouted. Danny felt hands lifting him, carrying him. He heard Xylith crying, felt her fingers gripping his hand. "Stay with me," she begged. "Danny, please stay with me." He wanted to tell her that he was fine, that everything would be okay. But the darkness was pulling him down, and he could not fight it anymore. He woke up 3 days later in the medical bay. Xylith was asleep in the chair beside his bed, her hand still holding his. Dr. Perry told him that he had almost died. The venom, the wounds, the exhaustion. His body had pushed beyond every limit. But somehow, impossibly, he had survived. A week later, Ambassador Thalros addressed the Galactic Council. Danny watched the broadcast from his hospital bed with Xylith beside him. "I have spent my life working for peace," the ambassador said. "I believed that trust between species could only be built through treaties and negotiations. I was wrong. Trust is built through sacrifice, through courage, through love." He paused, and his voice grew thick with emotion. "A human child saved my daughter's life. He fought 4 assassins alone. He nearly died to protect someone he had known for only 2 days. Not because he had to, not because he was ordered to, but because she was his friend. The ambassador looked directly at the camera. Humanity has proven themselves, not through power, not through technology, but through their hearts. I move that they be granted full diplomatic status in the galactic community. The vote was unanimous. Danny turned off the broadcast and looked at Xylith. I guess we are official now. She laughed through her tears. I guess we are. They sat together in comfortable silence, just like they had on the observation deck what felt like a lifetime ago. Do you regret it? Xylith asked finally. The pain? The transformation? The burden? Danny thought about it. He thought about the fire in his veins and the weight on his shoulders. He thought about the scars he would carry forever. Then he looked at Xylith, at her silver eyes and gentle smile, and he knew the answer. I would do it again, he said. She took his hand and squeezed it tight. I know. That is why you are human. Through the window, the gas giant swirled with endless storms. But in the medical bay, there was only peace and friendship, and the beginning of something new. The alarm pulled Danny Cole from a dreamless sleep. He rolled off his bunk and hit the cold floor of the drifting star before his eyes were fully open. After 3 years on this ship, his body knew the difference between alarms. This one meant someone needed help. He grabbed his medical bag and ran. Captain Laura Bennett stood at the bridge console, her face lit by the orange glow of warning lights. Kyle Marsh was already there, his engineer's jumpsuit covered in grease stains from whatever he had been fixing. Escape pod, Bennett said without looking up. Small one. Thyron design. Life signs are weak. Danny moved to the viewport. Outside, against the endless black of space, he could see the tiny pod tumbling slowly. Scorch marks covered its hull. Something had hit it hard. How long until we reach it? He asked. 2 minutes. Kyle, get the cargo bay ready. Danny, be prepared for anything. The next few minutes moved fast. Kyle guided the pod into the cargo bay with careful use of the tractor beam. Danny waited by the airlock, his bag open, his hand steady. He had done this many times before. Not on this ship, but in another life, when he wore a military uniform and pulled wounded soldiers from burning vehicles. The pod's hatch opened with a hiss of escaping air. Inside, a figure lay crumpled against the far wall. Female. Hiren. Her skin was the pale blue color of her species, now stained dark purple with blood. Plasma burns covered her left side, and pieces of metal stuck out from her shoulder and leg. Danny climbed in without hesitation. He checked her pulse first. Weak but there. Her breathing was shallow and rough. I need help moving her, he called out. Kyle appeared at the hatch. Together, they lifted her carefully and carried her to the medical bay. She was lighter than Danny expected, her bones thin and delicate like a bird's. But he knew better than to think that meant she was fragile. Tyrans were stronger than they looked. The medical bay of the drifting star was small. It had 1 bed, basic equipment, and supplies meant for minor injuries. But Danny had worked with less. He had kept people alive in muddy trenches with nothing but bandages and hope. He cut away the burned fabric of her clothing and began to clean her wounds. The plasma burns were bad but not deep. The shrapnel was the real problem. Each piece had to come out slowly, carefully, without causing more damage. Kyle stood by the door, watching. Is she going to make it? Yes, Danny said. He did not look up from his work. Go tell the captain she's stable. I'll handle this. Kyle left. Danny worked alone. He lost track of time. His world became the wounds in front of him, the steady beep of the monitor, the rhythm of his own breathing. Clean, remove, seal, bandage, repeat. He talked to her as he worked, even though she could not hear him. You're going to be okay. I know it hurts, but you're safe now. Just rest. Let me do my job. The words were not for her, not really. They were for him. A habit from the old days, when talking helped him stay calm while everything around him fell apart. He was wrapping a bandage around her arm when her eyes opened. Danny froze. Thyran eyes were different from human eyes. They had no whites, just pools of deep violet that seemed to hold entire galaxies inside them. Those eyes fixed on him now, sharp and aware despite her injuries. "Easy," he said softly. "You're safe. Your pod was damaged, and we brought you aboard our ship. I'm treating your wounds." She did not speak. She just watched him. Her gaze moved from his face to his hands, following every motion as he continued wrapping the bandage. There was something strange in her expression. Not fear, not gratitude. Something else that Danny could not name. "You probably have questions," he said. "That's normal. You're on the Drifting Star. We're a cargo ship, nothing fancy. My name is Danny. I'm the medic here. We picked up your distress signal about an hour ago." Still she said nothing. Danny finished the bandage and reached for a cloth to clean the blood from his hands. "Can you tell me your name? Do you remember what happened to your ship?" A voice, when it finally came, was low and clear. "You are human, yes. You pulled me from that pod. You have been treating my wounds. That's right." She was still staring at him. It was not a casual look. It was the kind of look that measured and weighed and judged. Danny had seen officers look at soldiers that way. He had seen doctors look at patients they were not sure would survive. Why? She asked, thought the question surprised him. "Why what? Why did you help me? You do not know who I am. You do not know why I was attacked. I could be a criminal. I could be dangerous. Yet, you brought me onto your ship and spent hours saving my life." Danny shrugged. It was a simple gesture, but it seemed to confuse her even more. "You were hurt," he said. "That's all that matters. The rest we can figure out later." She pushed herself up slightly, wincing at the pain in her shoulder. Danny moved forward to stop her, but she held up a hand. "Do you realize, human," she said slowly, "that I am not an ordinary person?" Danny looked at her. He saw the expensive fabric of her torn clothing, the delicate jewelry still hanging from her ears, the way she held herself even while wounded. He was not stupid. He knew she was someone important. "Maybe not," he said. "But right now, you're my patient. And patients need rest." He gently pressed her back down onto the bed. She let him, though he could see the surprise in her violet eyes. "Sleep," he told her. "I'll be here when you wake up. We can talk more then." She stared at him for a long moment. Her expression shifted, softened, became something almost like wonder. "You are a strange creature," she whispered. Danny smiled. "I've been told that before. Now rest." He dimmed the lights and settled into the chair beside her bed. Within minutes, her breathing slowed and deepened as sleep took her. Danny watched her for a while. This mysterious woman who had fallen from the stars into his care. He did not know who she was. He did not know what trouble had followed her. But none of that mattered right now. She was hurt. He had helped. That was enough. 3 days passed on the Drifting Star. Velith's wounds healed faster than Danny expected. Thyran biology was impressive, their bodies repairing damage at twice the speed of human flesh. By the third morning, she could walk without help. Though she still limped slightly. Danny insisted on the physical therapy sessions. They met twice a day in the cargo bay, where there was room to move. He showed her simple exercises, stretches and movements to rebuild strength in her injured leg. "You're doing great," he said as she finished a set of slow squats. "A few more days and you'll be running marathons." "I do not know what a marathon is." "It's a race. A long one. Humans run them for fun." Velith raised an eyebrow. "You run very long distances for enjoyment." "Yeah, weird, right?" But that's humans for you. We do a lot of strange things." She smiled. It was a small expression, just a slight curve of her lips, but Danny had learned to recognize it. He found himself looking forward to making her smile. They walked through the ship together after the session. Vaylith had begun exploring during her recovery, learning the layout and meeting the crew. There were only 8 people aboard the Drifting Star, and she had spoken to all of them. Kyle Marsh, the engineer, had shown her the engine room. He explained how the ship worked in simple terms that she pretended not to understand. In truth, Tyran technology was far more advanced, but she liked listening to him talk. He reminded her of the scholars in her court, passionate about their work in a way that made them forget rank and protocol. Captain Bennett kept her distance, but was always polite. The other crew members treated Vaylith with friendly curiosity. They asked about her world, her food, her culture. No one bowed. No one called her by titles. No one was afraid of her. It was strange and wonderful. On the evening of the 3rd day, everything changed. Vaylith was in the medical bay, reading a book Danny had lent her. It was a human novel about a detective solving mysteries. She did not understand all the references, but the story was engaging. The alarm shattered the quiet. This alarm was different from the one that had sounded when they found her pod. This one was louder, more urgent. Red lights flashed along the walls. Danny burst through the door. His face was serious in a way she had not seen before. "We've got company," he said. "Captain wants everyone at stations." "What kind of company?" He hesitated. "Military ships. They're not responding to hails. Just getting closer." Vaylith felt cold. She knew. Even before seeing the ships, she knew. "Take me to the bridge." The main screen showed 3 vessels approaching fast. They were sleek and dark, built for speed and combat. Tyran design. But not from her fleet. These bore the markings of House Vareth, the family that had been trying to seize the throne for generations. "They found me," she said. Bennett turned. "You know them?" "They are the ones who tried to kill me. They have come to finish the work." The bridge fell silent. Kyle's hands froze over his console. The other crew members stared at her with new understanding in their eyes. "So much for keeping secrets," Bennett muttered. She looked at Danny. "Our guest is the Empress Heir of the Tyran Dominion. Those ships are here to assassinate her." Danny blinked. He looked at Vaylith. Then he looked at the ships on the screen. Then he looked back at Vaylith. "Okay," he said. That was all. Just okay. As if she had told him the soup was cold or the weather had changed. "You are not angry?" Vaylith asked. "About what?" "That I lied to you. That I put your ship in danger." Danny shook his head. "You didn't lie. You just didn't tell me everything. And you didn't put us in danger. Those people chasing you did that." The communication system crackled to life. A cold voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel. You are carrying property of House Vareth. Surrender the Tyran female immediately, or you will be destroyed." Bennett's jaw tightened. "Property? Did they just call her property?" "She is a traitor to the Dominion," the voice continued. "Her life is forfeit. This is not your concern, humans. Give her to us, and you may leave unharmed." Bennett looked at Vaylith. Something passed between them. A question asked and answered without words. "This is Captain Laura Bennett of the Drifting Star," she said into the communicator. "The person you're looking for is a guest on my ship. She's under my protection. You want her, you go through us." The line went dead. "Kyle," Bennett said, "how fast can this ship go?" "Faster than she should. I've been making modifications." "Then, push her. Buy us time." The Drifting Star lurched forward. Vaylith grabbed a console to steady herself. Through the viewport, she saw the stars blur as the ship accelerated beyond its normal limits. "They're following," Kyle reported. "Gaining on us. We've got maybe 2 hours before they catch up." Bennett began transmitting on all frequencies. "Mayday, mayday. This is the civilian cargo vessel Drifting Star. We are under attack by hostile forces. Any ships in range, please respond. We are carrying the Empressaire of the Thyran Dominion. Repeat, we have the Empressaire. She needs help." The message went out into the void. There was no reply. Danny touched Vileth's arm. "Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe on this ship." "Maybe not, but there are places that are harder to reach. If they board us, I want you protected." He led her to the center of the ship, to a small storage room surrounded by thick walls. It was not much, but it was the most defended position available. "Stay here," he said. "I'll come back. Where are you going?" "To help. We don't have soldiers, but we have people who won't give up. That counts for something." Valeth caught his hand. "Danny, you could die. All of you could die. For me." He looked at her with those strange human eyes, brown and warm and utterly unafraid. "Maybe," he said, "but some things are worth dying for. And protecting someone who can't protect themselves, that's at the top of the list." He squeezed her hand once, then left. Valeth sat alone in the dark storage room, listening to the ship shudder around her. She had commanded armies. She had navigated the deadliest politics in the galaxy. She had survived assassination attempts before, but never had anyone stood between her and death simply because it was right. She did not understand these humans, but she was beginning to love them for it. The assassin ships caught up faster than Kyle had predicted. Their engines were military grade, built for hunting. The Drifting Star was a cargo hauler pretending to be a racing ship, and she could only pretend for so long. The first hit rocked the entire vessel. Valeth braced herself against the wall of the storage room as alarms screamed overhead. "Warning shots," came Bennett's voice over the intercom. "They're trying to disable us. All hands, prepare for boarding." Valeth closed her eyes. She had no weapon. She had no guards. She was injured and alone on a ship full of humans who were about to die for her. She had never felt so helpless. Minutes passed. The ship shook with more impacts. Then came a sound that froze her blood. The grinding screech of metal on metal. The assassins were cutting through the hold. The intercom crackled again. "They're coming through the cargo bay." Kyle sealed the bulkheads. "Buy us time." Footsteps, shouting, the distant pop of weapons fire. Valeth stood. She could not sit here waiting to be slaughtered. She had to do something. Anything. She opened the storage room door and nearly collided with Danny. He was carrying a medical bag in one hand and a metal tray in the other. A surgical laser hung from his belt. It was the most pathetic collection of weapons she had ever seen. "Get back inside," he said. "No, Valeth, please. I need you safe. And I need you alive. All of you." She grabbed his arm. "How many are there?" 8, we think. Military trained. They have real weapons. We have." He looked at the tray in his hand and laughed without humor. "We have determination. Determination will not stop plasma rifles. Maybe not, but it's what we've got." The sounds of fighting grew closer. Someone screamed. Valeth did not know if it was human or Thyran. Danny. She pulled him into the storage room and closed the door. "Listen to me. These assassins serve House Varath. They've been trying to seize my throne for decades. If they kill me, my death will start a civil war that will burn across the Dominion. Billions will die, all the more reason to keep you alive. You do not understand. I am telling you this so you know why you must not throw your life away. I am not worth more than you. I am not worth more than your captain or Kyle or anyone else on this ship. If you can escape, do it. Leave me. Danny stared at her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Not fear. Something deeper. You really don't get it, he said quietly. This isn't about worth. It's not a calculation. It's not logic. When someone needs help, you help them. When someone's in danger, you protect them. That's just what you do. Because if you don't, then what's the point of being alive? Before she could respond, the door exploded inward. The first assassin came through firing. Danny shoved Valeth behind him and threw the metal tray. It caught the assassin in the face, a ridiculous attack that should not have worked. But the Thyran stumbled, surprised, and Danny was already moving. He grabbed the assassin's arm and twisted. The weapon fell. Danny brought his elbow up hard into the assassin's throat, then drove him into the wall. A second assassin appeared. Danny ripped the surgical laser from his belt and fired. The tiny beam was never meant for combat, but at close range it burned through the assassin's eye and into his brain. The third assassin was smarter. He stayed in the doorway, weapon raised, and fired. The plasma bolt caught Danny in the side. He staggered but did not fall. Blood spread across his shirt. His face went pale with pain. The assassin stepped forward for a killing shot. Danny threw himself at the attacker. They crashed to the floor together. Danny's hands found the assassin's throat and squeezed with the desperate strength of a dying man. The assassin clawed at him, struggling, but Danny held on. Valeth found herself moving without thought. She grabbed a fallen plasma rifle, a weapon she had trained with since childhood, and pressed it against the assassin's head. Stop. The assassin froze. Call off your team, Valeth said. Her voice was ice. This was the voice of the HFY, the voice that commanded fleets and ended lives. Tell them to stand down, or I will kill you slowly. The assassin laughed. You are weak, princess. You always were. That is why you will lose, perhaps. Valeth lowered the rifle and fired. The assassin's leg vaporized from the knee down. His scream echoed through the corridor. But I am also very tired of being underestimated. She left him writhing on the floor and knelt beside Danny. He was still conscious, barely. His hand pressed against the wound in his side. Hey, he whispered. You got a gun now. Yes, I should have had one from the beginning, probably. He tried to smile. Go, help the others. I'll be fine. You are a terrible liar, Danny Cole. She tore a strip from her clothing and pressed it against his wound. It was crude, but it would slow the bleeding. Then she kissed his forehead once, a gesture she had never given to anyone outside her family. Do not die, she told him. That is an order. She took the rifle and went hunting. The remaining assassins were scattered through the ship, fighting the crew. Valeth moved through the corridors like a ghost, using every skill she had learned in a lifetime of survival. She found 2 assassins trying to break through a sealed door and killed. Then both before they knew she was there, she found another one holding Kyle at gunpoint in the engine room. She shot him through the back. Kyle stared at her with wide eyes. Get this ship moving, she said. We are not dying here. The last 3 assassins had gathered on the bridge, holding Captain Bennett and 2 crew members hostage. Valeth did not negotiate. She did not hesitate. She walked onto the bridge, let them see who she was, and watched their faces shift from triumph to confusion. The princess fights back, their leader sneered. How unexpected. I am not a princess, Valeth said. I am the HFY. And you made one mistake. What mistake? You attacked the humans who helped me. You threatened the people who showed me kindness. You hurt someone I care about. She raised the rifle. I will never forgive you for that. She fired 3 times. 3 assassins fell. The bridge was silent. Bennett slowly lowered her hands. Well, remind me never to make you angry. Valeth dropped the rifle. Her hands were shaking. The rage that had carried her through the fight was fading, replaced by exhaustion and fear. "Danny," she said. "He is hurt, badly." Bennett was already moving. "Show me where." The Dominion war fleet arrived 6 hours later. 20 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, their weapons systems hot and ready. They had been tracking Vilith's emergency beacon since her escape pod launched. Racing across star systems to find her, they found the drifting star limping through space, her hull scarred with plasma burns and emergency patches. They found 8 dead assassins floating in the cargo bay, ejected into the void. And they found the HFY alive and unharmed, standing on the bridge of a human cargo ship with blood on her hands. The Warfleet's commander came aboard personally. Admiral Thren Sylveth was old and scarred, a veteran of 3 major wars. He had served Velith's family for 50 years. When he saw her, he dropped to one knee. "HFY, we feared the worst. Rise, Admiral. There is no time for ceremony. I have wounded who need treatment." The Dominion ships had medical facilities far beyond anything on the drifting star. Within the hour, Danny was stabilized and placed in a healing tank. The human technology had kept him alive, but Thyran medicine would make him whole again. Velith stayed by his tank for hours. She watched his vital signs on the monitors, watched the color slowly return to his face, watched his wounds knit themselves closed. Bennett found her there late in the night cycle. "He's gonna be fine," the captain said. "The doctors told me. Full recovery." "Yes, I know." Bennett sat down beside her. They were quiet for a while. "You saved my ship," Bennett said finally. "My crew. You could have stayed hidden, let us fight your battle. But you didn't." "Danny was right," Velith said. "When someone needs help, you help them. That is what you do." He'd be proud to hear you say that. He will hear it himself when he wakes up. The next 2 days passed slowly. The drifting star was towed by the Warfleet to the nearest Dominion station. The crew was treated like honored guests. Word had spread of what they had done, how a small human cargo ship had stood against assassins to protect the HFY. It was the kind of story that traveled fast. Danny woke on the morning of the 3rd day. Velith was there, sitting beside his bed. "Hey," he said. His voice was rough from sleep. "Did we win?" "We won." He looked around at the unfamiliar room, the advanced technology, the guards standing at attention by the door. "This isn't the drifting star." "No, you are on the Dominion command ship. You have been healing." Danny tried to sit up, winced, and decided against it. "How long was I out?" 3 days. 3 days. He rubbed his face. Kyle must have fixed the engines by now. Knowing him, he probably upgraded them too. Velith smiled. It was still a small expression, but warmer now. More natural. "Your crew is well. They have been given quarters and full access to our facilities. Captain Bennett has been arguing with my admiral about trade routes. I believe she is winning." Danny laughed, then stopped because laughing hurt. "That sounds like her." They sat together in comfortable silence. Through the viewport, stars drifted by in endless patterns. Somewhere out there, the drifting star floated beside the Warfleet, tiny but proud. "I have to leave soon," Velith said. "My coronation was scheduled for next month. With what has happened, it will likely happen sooner. There is much to do. Of course, you're going to be Empress. That's big. Yes, it is." She hesitated. "Danny, I want to ask you something. Anything. What do you want?" "From me. From the Dominion. I have the power to give you anything. Wealth, land, a title, ships. Name it, and it is yours." Danny thought about it for a long moment. She watched his face, trying to read his expression. "The galaxy's pretty big," he said finally. And people get hurt everywhere. Not just humans. Not just their ants. Everyone. Go on. Medical ships have to follow borders. They need permission to enter certain spaces. They get stopped, questioned, turned away. Sometimes people die because help can't get to them in time. Valith nodded slowly. You want me to change that? If you can. Make it easier for healers to help. Fewer borders. Fewer questions. When someone's bleeding, the only thing that should matter is stopping the bleeding. She stared at him. This man who had risked everything for her, who had nearly died protecting her, who had been given the chance to ask for anything in the power of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. And he asked for nothing for himself. You continue to surprise me, Danny Cole. Is that a yes? It is more than a yes. She stood and faced him with the full bearing of the Empress air. I will create a new treaty. Full protection and free passage for all medical vessels in Dominion space. No questions. No delays. No borders. And I will work to extend it to every nation we have treaties with. Danny's eyes widened. That's more than I expected. It is exactly what you deserve. She reached out and touched the bandage still wrapped around her arm, the one he had applied in that tiny medical bay. This is what humans are. Not your weapons. Not your ships. This. She leaned down and kissed his forehead again. Thank you, Danny, for everything. He smiled, embarrassed but pleased. Just doing my job. No, you did much more than that. And I will make sure the galaxy knows it. 1 month later, the Galactic Council received an unprecedented proposal from the newly crowned Empress, Valith Sirene. It was a treaty guaranteeing free passage and protection for all medical vessels, regardless of species or origin. Throughout Dominion space and all allied territories, the document's official title was long and formal, filled with legal language that diplomats loved. But among the people, it became known by a simpler name, the Bandaged Accords, and in the archives of the Thyron Dominion, recorded for all history, was a small note attached to the treaty's first page. It read simply, for Danny Cole, who taught an empress that some things matter more than power. Somewhere across the galaxy, on a cargo ship held together by stubbornness and spare parts, Danny Cole finished bandaging. A crew member scraped hand and smiled at nothing in particular. There was work to do. There was always work to do.